Hi everyone, my name is Mason Lawrence and I'm the 4-H agent in Pasquotank County. Today we're going to be going over some basic banking skills. We're going to learn about what is a check, what are all the parts on the check, how do we fill out a check, how do we fill out a deposit slip, and we're going to take a look at bank statements as well. Now to start with, what is a check? A check is basically a written document that authorizes you to pay someone for services that they have rendered. They can take that check and go to any bank or place that will cash a check and they can get their money. It's really helpful to have when you write large sums of money because you don't always carry hundreds or thousands of dollars on you at a time, and not everybody always has one of the card readers that you can use for either a credit card or a debit card. So let's dive right into what is a check. A check is this piece of paper right here. And if you notice on that check, there is a whole lot of things that are going on. So let's take a look at the check, and we're going to start in the upper left-hand corner. As you can see, the first thing that you're going to see is the name. That'll be your name and your address that are going to be printed on all your checks. This is to let the banks know who the check is coming from. Next, you'll see a little blank right beside the word date. You need to make sure that you fill in the date. There are several different ways that you can fill in a date. You can write it out long ways, or you can abbreviate it. This allows the bank to know when the check was made. Checks are legally only supposed to be able to be deposited or cashed 90 days from when they are written. So that's why it's very important to write your dates down. If you look right here, this has to do with bank numbers, and that deals strictly with banks and has nothing to do with you. Next, you'll see over here in the top right-hand corner that you'll have a check number. Now, this check number is going to be the check in which you're writing. So if you get a booklet of checks, you'll start with a series, either starting at all zeros, or maybe you start at 100, and then every check you write from then on will go up by one number. This helps track the check that you have written to anyone. Moving down, you'll see that there is a small box with a dollar sign. This is where you will write in the dollar amount with cents that you are paying someone. And it's very important that you put this period or decimal on your check. If you don't, then someone can very easily move or add a decimal to another spot and add another zero. So instead of $29, they can make it $2,900 by simply putting a period and adding another zero. Below, you have to have your signature. Now, your signature is written in cursive, so I hope you know how to write in cursive. All the little numbers below here are basic information that goes to your bank. The first set are a 9-digit bank routing number. Your account number is the next set, and then finally the check number. Moving up, you'll see that it has a line that says 4. This is a very good way for you to keep track of who you're paying and what the services are for, so that come tax time, as you get older, you can see whether or not things are tax deductible. And also, it helps you keep track of what you have paid for. So if you pay people on a frequent basis for different services, the same person, it allows you to know what thing you've paid them for. You'll also note that the bank's information is right here as far as mailing address. Now this line right here that has the word dollars beside of it, this is very important. Not only do you have to write the number in for the check that you're wanting, like $29, you have to sit there and write out $29. Now you can put 00/100 over top like that, and that is just to count the number of cents. So if you wanted to have 33 cents, you would just put 33 over 100. Paid to the order of is whoever you are writing this check to. It can be to an individual, it can be to a business. Those are the two main things. You need to make sure that the spelling on that is correct, especially if it's going to an individual, because they are going to try to have that check cashed or deposited into their account. And some banks, if the names do not match up correctly, they will not deposit those checks. So that's the very basic of what all goes into a check. So let's go over that again with a blank check. What I want you guys to do now is I want you to fill out and write your own check. All right, let's take a practice in writing our check. So the first thing we always want to make sure is we put our date in. Okay, so we're going to put 6/7/2020. Now the next thing we're going to make sure is who we're going to pay the order. We should pay the order to Mr. Clover. We want to make sure that we spell his name correctly. Now in here we want to make sure that we write the dollar amount. I think Mr. Clover has done a good job, so let's pay him $1,000. Don't forget to put our period, our decimal place, and then put 00, and you can put over 100 here if you want. And then down here, you're going to see authorized signature. Mr. Mason is going to authorize this for my bank account. All right. Next, we're going to put the amount for. So we have to write out $1,000. And then another good thing to do is if you're not going to put the decimal places, just draw a straight line across. That straight line will help you finish out your check. Now this check does not have a line for what the check is being written for. But we always want to make sure that we use a pen when we write checks, because a pencil can be erased and numbers can be changed. You always want to make sure that you write in dark ink, preferably black ink, or blue ink are the two main colors that the banks will accept. Don't worry, this is a fictitious. This bank information is not correct, so you don't have to worry about that. So what I want you guys to do is now go in and write you a check to Mr. Clover as well. These are all non-legal checks, so don't try to carry them to the bank and get them cashed. But practice writing them, okay? All right, next we're going to move into what is a deposit slip. A deposit slip is something that you're going to fill out when you go to add a deposit, which is to put money inside your checking or savings account. It lets the bank know who you are, what account number you're going to be putting it in, and the amount of money that you're putting in. So they keep a paper trail record as well for their records. So let's take a look at a deposit slip. Now on this deposit slip, starting from the upper left-hand corner, you'll know that you have your name. There is the date, and then the place where you will sign here if you're going to receive cash from the deposit. Sometimes you have the ability to deposit just a check or just cash, or you can deposit some money and take some money out at the same time. And we're going to go into that right now. So where you see right here, it says checking deposits, items for deposit. There's dollars and cents. What you'll do is you'll put in the currency. So you'll put in the amount, and this is for cash only that you'll put in. So you have to add up all the cash that you are going to be putting in and put in dollars and cents. Below it's going to say checks. So here you're going to write all the check amounts down. Now on some deposit slips there's going to be a third column that will say check number. This helps the bank if you're making a large deposit with multiple checks, that it lets them know which check goes with which dollar amount. And then down here you're going to have the total that you are going to need. That is going to be the sum of all cash and checks that you have in your deposit. Then you're going to go down to less cash. Less cash means that's the amount of dollars that you want to withhold or the bank to give you back. So say you're going to put in $300 total, and you want $50 to come back to you in form of cash. So you would have in total, you would put $300, less cash received, you would put $50, and then under the line that says total deposit, you would put the total amount that's going to be deposited into the bank, which if we have $300 that we are putting in and we subtract 50, that leaves us with $250. And that would be your actual deposit that you would be making on that day. So you would put that into the bank. Now the next thing and the final thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at your bank statements. Now a bank statement is something that is sent to you at the end of every month, and it lets you know how much money is in your bank account and how your money has been spent. Bank accounts nowadays will track all transactions, so that counts your ATM withdrawals, anytime you have paid with a debit card, as well as the checks you have written. So if we take a look at our bank statement, you'll see that it is the Anywhere Home Bank. This is your checking account statement and has your name. If you look in the top right corner, it has account number and it has the statement date of 1/25 to 2/25. So what that means is from January 25th until February 25th, these are all the transactions that have occurred on your checking account. So as you see on the left-hand corner, it has the dates. It has either checks and or debits. And then you have one that says deposits or other credits. So if you were to be putting any money in, the deposits that we just talked about would go in here, and those would be credits that add money to your bank account. And then in the final column, you'll see balance. Balance is what the current amount of money you have in at any point in time in your bank. So as you see, as you write checks or take out money, your balance goes down. And you'll see at the bottom it says balance from previous statement, total number of debits, which are not debit cards, but the number of times you have pulled money out of your checking account. So you had 5 in the amount of $262.79. There is a $3.30 service charge. Service charges can be added for having a checking account, or if you're using an ATM machine that is not with your bank, when you go to start, it'll tell you that it's going to deduct a set amount of money for this transaction. And then finally, the balance of this statement, which is going to be $253.87. That is going to be the total amount of money that you have in your bank account. Now, why is it important to keep track of all of your money very detailed? It's important so that you always have money in your account. You never want to overdraw your account. And an overdraw is when you either write a check or try to pay for something and you don't have any money in the bank. When that happens, you usually get fined from the bank $25 to $50 for this over withdrawal. And then you have to not only pay that money, but you have to pay the fine as well. So a good standard to have is always have a set amount of money in your bank account at all times. And you can check your banking accounts now with online banking very easily. Continue to practice writing your checks and work on how to make bank deposits. This has been Banking with Mr. Mason. I hope you guys have a great day.